Good morning, one and all. Today I am discussing about applied geotechnical engineering for 5th semester students under subject code 18CV62 for module 1 and lecture class 3. Today we are discussing about the list of soil explorations that we are doing. So one is direct method, that is test pits, trial pits, trenches. In semi-direct method, it is borings, auger boring, hand operated boring, power driven boring, so etc. So again, we have to see what is meant by direct method. Direct method means directly we are making a pit in the field and we are standing near that pit and we are going to examining the variation of soil strata by depth. So it's called direct method. Either we can make trench like compound. Well, we are constructing compound, we are making trench. You can examine the trench also. Or for isolated footings or some combined footing, we are making a pit. Examine that pit. That itself, future, that pit can be used as the footing points. So, or wherever footings we are proposing, at that place we can make an excavation, we can observe it, that is called as that is direct method. So direct method is a directly we are observing the variation of the soil strata by depth, is called direct method. So what are the limitation of this method? In case of direct method, as the depth increases, opposite wall shadow falls on the excavated portion, so clearly visibility problem will occur. Therefore, so excavation become difficult and observing the coloring of variation of the soil strata will become difficult. Therefore, it has to be restricted to 3 meter depth from natural ground level. That is point number 1. Point number 2 limitation is if the soil is not self-sustainable in terms of the open excavation, then caving in will be the main problem. Hence, maximum depth of is restricted to just 3 meter only. Next, boring. What is meant by boring? It is a process of drilling a hole into the soil. The process of drilling a hole into the soil and collecting a soil sample from that hole is called as boring. I will repeat it once again, students. It is a process of drilling a hole into the soil. ಅಂದರೆ ಭೂಮಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ರಂಧ್ರವನ್ನು ಮಾಡುವುದು, ಆ ರಂಧ್ರದಿಂದ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ತೆಗೆಯುವುದನ್ನ ಬೋರಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಬೋರಿಂಗ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ a process of drilling a hole into the soil and collecting a soil sample from that hole is called as boring. In order to advance this boring, there are various the equipments that we are using. Among that, first one is auger. So auger is an equipment which is used to drill a hole into the ground. So there are two types of augers. Basically they are classified. One is a hand operated auger, another one is a power driven auger. Hand operated auger so is used up to a depth of 3 to 5 meter, whereas power driven auger is used up to a depth of 5 meter. Or sometimes if you have that is a huge equipments are there, you can go up to 25 meter also. Next, depending on the shape of the auger, augers are of two types: post hole auger and helical auger. I want to show you in the next slide post hole auger and helical auger. You can see here, this is a post hole auger. You can see here there is a conical opening here and that having a cutting edge at this point. It is connected to a extension rod and rod is connected to the handle. That means each extension rod, one end it connected to the cutting edge, another end it connected to the handle for one length extension rod. One length extension rod means 1 meter length. Suppose two such extension rods are used. First extension rod is connected to the cutting edge, whereas the last extension rod is connected to the handle. So if you press this and you take this auger and place it on the top of the ground, just press it and rotate it in clockwise direction, and soil will be sheared and the soil will start collecting in this particular portion. Once it is collected, then the movement will become free. You can that is come to a conclusion that the soil has filled in this portion, take out that auger. So in that way we will get the soil sample. That sample is totally disturbed and therefore it is called disturbed sample. So this particular post-hole auger is used when a soil is comparatively soft in nature. Suppose if a soil strata is hard or gravelly in nature, then the cutting edge will get damages. Then we have to go for a second category of auger, that is called as a helical auger. You can see the name itself indicates there is a helical spring type one is welded to that rod. So this is called helical auger. In this spring portions the soil is collected. So these not only the edge is contributing in shearing of the soil, also the spring portion teethed end will also contribute in shearing of the soil. Therefore even hard soil so can also be sheared off by using this helical auger. Next, suppose if you are doing a boring by using auger, so if it is beyond the critical depth of excavation, critical depth of excavation means what? Critical depth of excavation means HC. HC is equal to 4C by gamma into tan phi, where C is cohesion of the soil, gamma is density of the soil, phi is angle of internal friction. If it exceeds beyond that depth, then there will be this is your borehole. So then there will be a caving in of the borehole take place. There is a collapse of the soil take place. To prevent the collapse, there is a tube will be inserted. So that is called as a shell. So that is also called as a local language casing. A casing pipe is inserted, and below inside that casing pipe auger will be advanced. Then that is called auger and shell boring. So other type of borings are wash boring, percussion boring, rotary boring. Wash boring means whenever you want to collect the soil sample below the water table, then we are using for wash boring. And if a hard bearing strata is there, drilling bit is used, then called percussion boring. When you have to cut the core of the rock, then we have to using a diamond drilling bit, then that is called as a rotary boring. So these are all some of the semi-direct method. That means 100% observing the depth of the borehole is not possible, but we are disturbing the soil at a required depth, and then we are taking the soil, we are seeing the color of the soil not at that place, but by taking the soil to the ground level when we are seeing, therefore it is called semi-direct method. Have you understood? So now we discuss direct method and semi-direct method. Now indirect method. Indirect method means here there is no soil sample collection, there is no distraction of the ground. Just by using some instrument, indirectly we are assessing the behavior of the soil, is called as indirect method. There are two types of indirect methods are there. Penetration test, that is the geophysical methods, and the sounding, that is the electrical resistivity method, seismic refraction method, or standard penetration method, cone penetration method. Dynamic cone penetration method is one more type in cone penetration method, and static cone penetration is there. Another method is in the cone penetration method. These are all the tests which are indirectly, so we are assessing the behavior of the soil. Okay, so next is the coming to the bore log. What is meant by bore log? A bore log is a chart which represents the variation of the soil strata with the depth. That means when we collect the soil, for example at 0 meter we are collected the soil, it is red color soil. At 1 meter we excavated, we got a black color soil. At 2 meter when we excavated, it will be a cherry red color soil. At 3 meter when we excavated, it is a black color soil. So this has to be recorded officially in a table. So that table of recording the variation of the soil strata with the depth. So with color identification, strata identification is called as a general name bore log. I will repeat it once again. Bore log means is the chart represents the graphical variation of the soil strata with depth. There are various types of bore logs are there. One is just when if you want to collect the depth of the soil, you have to record the depth of the soil with the color, means it is a field bore log. Suppose in that bore log at every depth you are conducting a soil test like natural moisture content, liquid limit, plastic limit, shrinkage limit, density test, and some bearing capacity test you are doing. At 0 meter what is those values, at 1 meter what is those values, 2 meter what is those values. If you record, means that is laboratory bore log test, where the color classification will not be there. And third category is combined bore log. Combined bore log means field information and laboratory information together will be represented. See here, so you can see in this particular graph, so the variation, the bore log will composed of the type of the project, name of the boring agency, you can see here. So what is the project that particular bore log represents, and bore log hole number, strata, and the depth at which the refusal has taken place, that means up to which we stopped it, type of boring we are used, auger boring, shell boring, percussion boring, rotary, that you have to write, diameter of the borehole that we are made, that we have to write, and the ended on what time, started on what time, which agency is doing this particular boring process. It may be a for example, if I want to say for example, Tata Consulting Services is doing, Seacon Surveys is doing, Geotech is doing the soil exploration, Geo Francis is doing soil exploration, or that is Wilbur Smith is doing this soil exploration, or Lawrence and Mayo is doing this soil exploration, or Gammon India is doing this soil exploration, or the that is the Pile Foundation of India is doing this exploration. What are the, which agency is doing that name, you have to write it. Afterwards, this bore log composed of these much of columns. Column number 1 indicate depth starting 0 here, 1.5 meter, 2 meter, etc. And soil profile is next column. Soil that is the explanation of the color is another one. SPT, if you are conducted, is the main one, is that one value. SPT variations you have to write it, and liquid limit, plastic limit, some other any SBC value is there, some water table located, all this information you have to record it in the remarks column. So now if you see here at 0 meter filled up soil is there, and they found that reddish brown soil, and SPT was 30. SPT means number of blows required for 30 centimeter penetration of a, so 30.8 mm internal diameter, 50.4 mm external diameter, cutting edge of 60 centimeter length split tube. So for a depth of 30 centimeter beyond, so 15 centimeter of seating drive by using 65 kg hammer with 75 centimeter free fall is called as a N value. So that is also called SPT. So for that first 0 to 1.5 meter depth, the SPT value was 30. 1.5 to for example, so at 4 meter depth it was 35. That means soil is gaining some strength due to overburden pressure. It may be brownish, then sand is there. At 6 meter again it has reduced, so it is 17, because there may be weak pockets of soil may be there. And at 7 meter again it was very loose sand was there, so SPT value is very less, you can see here. And at 10 meter it is 21. They stopped at 10 meter, and if you plotted that one, so the SPC increase, the SPT value increases, the curve moves like this. When it start decreasing, it will move in this direction. So this variation indicates the profile, how the strength carrying capacity of soil will be varying with the depth. So these informations will be obtained by using a bore log, and if they stopped at 10 meter, means the refusal strata is at 10 meter. Okay. So now next is with this particular one, some of the MCQ questions we are prepared, and that MCQ questions related to today's module is that I will discuss it one by one. Direct method of soil exploration means physical inspection of soil in the pit. So answer A is true, B is false. Yes, it is true. Next, hand operated auger, the depth less than 3 to 5 meter. So they said hand operated auger means the depth should be less than 3 to 5 meter. Option A is true, option B is false, option A it is true. Power driven boring. So depth greater than 5 meter, answer A is true, answer B is false, it is true. The type of auger are post hole auger and helical auger. There are two types based on the shape. So they said yes, it is true, answer is true. Wash boring will be used to collect a undisturbed soil sample. As I said in my class discussion, so it is collected below the groundwater table and the soil is 100% disturbed. Therefore this statement is not correct. So your option is either true or B is false. It is false statement. Okay, answer is false. Rotary boring for soft soil. So as I said earlier, rotary boring is used for hard soil. It is not used for soft soil. So your option is B, false. Percussion boring for soft soil. Again, I am telling percussion is used for stiff clay and hard, densely over consolidated soils. Therefore, the statement is wrong. So option is B. Bore log means field bore log only. As I said earlier, bore log is a graphical representation of variation of soil strata with the depth with all index and engineering properties also. So it is not only a field bore log, it will be a laboratory bore log or combined bore log. Therefore the statement is false. Bore log means laboratory bore log. Statement is false. Bore log means both field and laboratory. Yes, the statement is true. So likewise you can expect MCQ question, and although we are uploaded in LMS MCQ questions, you please go through. If you have any doubt you can ask always. So the questions. So these are the textbooks and reference books I used for preparation of this particular module. I take this opportunity to thank wholehearted thanks to the Department of Collegiate and Technical Education and all the students, and for giving me an opportunity to prepare this LMS content. Okay, so thank you students.